We have all been outraged by the atrocities in Ukraine, and in recent days there have been growing calls for Vladimir Putin to be charged with war crimes. And while to many people Russia's guilt is not in doubt, I spoke to a local expert who says war crime trials are rare and usually unsuccessful.
States have sort of decided that certain things are off limits, even during wartime.
Paul Fritz is an associate professor of political science at Hofstra University who specializes in international relations. He says the concept of charging countries with war crimes goes back to the late 1800s.
The basic idea behind all of it is just that even states that are at war can't do certain things. And one of the most important parts of it is to avoid killing civilians, as well as doing other things to civilians, such as sexual crimes or forced displacement.
All of which, according to Ukrainian officials, Russian troops have done. But even if there's eyewitness accounts, pictures, and video of countries perpetrating such atrocities, experts say putting their leaders on trial is rare. For one, Fritz says the International Criminal Court that presides over war crime trials has no powers of enforcement on its own. So he says don't expect to see Vladimir Putin in a courtroom.
Likelihood that he would be tried there is very, very small, because what it requires is that the Russian state would have to hand over Vladimir Putin for trial. And effectively, Putin is the Russian state. What has happened in the past with other leaders, even if they're indicted and there's a strong case against them in the ICC, is they simply don't go. They simply ignore it.
Fritz says other options against Putin are more likely, such as national courts in Europe pursuing charges. But he says even the most successful of those efforts would have limited results.
What it might do in some ways is it further cements the pariah status that Vladimir Putin has essentially created for himself. Would limit his ability to travel in the future any place, as well as bring other types of repercussions.
Enlightening, right? So frustrating for all of us. We think it's so cut and dry. There have been some war crime trials that were completed to the end. The most famous, of course, the Nuremberg trials right after World War II, when nearly 24 Nazi leaders were convicted.